What's up everybody, Jason from C&C Exotic Reptiles back at you with another video. I'm going to try to produce more content more frequently because you guys seem to be liking it. So in this week we're going to talk about what to look for when buying an animal, specifically when buying a snake. We're going to look at boas in this video, but this can be applied to any animal. So I have some babies, and this is my baby rack, or at least one of my baby racks behind me, so I'm going to be pulling some animals from this. Things to look for when you're looking at some babies, if you're looking to buy something. Obviously online this can be difficult. You have to trust the person you're buying from, and you need to know that they're good people. Look at the reviews. That's the first thing. We've kind of covered this topic of how to buy online, so this is going to bridge the gap between buying online and buying in person. But look at the reviews. If there's bad reviews, they're probably a bad seller. Those reviews are key. If somebody has multiple bad reviews, there's probably something wrong with the seller. It's easy to look at the good reviews and kind of avoid the bad reviews, but look at the bad reviews. So look at those bad reviews, look at the good reviews. Do people have a good shot with them? And then when you look at those reviews, make sure that they're specific to the animals you're looking at. So somebody might have a bad review on a lizard and you're looking to buy a snake, but all the snake reviews are good. That person, whether they're a larger breeder or a smaller breeder, typically those larger breeders are the ones that are going to have those bad reviews because they get a whole flux of animals in that are typically wild caught. But let's say you're here and you're looking at a snake in person. Things you want to look for, or you just received the snake. When to contact a seller, but you just received the snake. So this girl here, or let me see, this is a guy here. So this boy, beautiful. He is a hypo, I believe IMG, because he's starting to get some black freckles on him, and he's also a T positive or Het T positive. You want to look at the face. Look at the face, look at the eyes, are they clear? Now sometimes snakes can get this little bump on the tip of their nose. That's fine, it's totally perfect. It will heal up as long as it's not excessive, especially baby snakes. Sometimes they can roam, sometimes they're kept in racks, sometimes they're just pushing and rubbing at corners of their cages. It's not a really bad thing, and it will heal out in a couple sheds. Don't freak out about that. You always want to make sure the boas that you're buying or animals you're buying have a few males in them. Really, there's no difference if I sell you a snake right out of the mother versus I get them started, except I am not tempted to hold them and look at them generally as much as you are, so I can get them established quicker. Now, the more males they have, the easier they're going to be. Look at their underbelly. Are their scales nice and clear? Like this girl here, scales are nice and clear. If you see a couple little broken scales or whatever, this girl doesn't have it, or this guy doesn't have it. But if you see a couple broken scales, it's not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. That can happen. Maybe the bedding it was kept in was a little damp, but it's nothing to really be concerned about. Big things you're going to focus on: eyes, tongue flick. Some species don't flick their tongue. Demerle's boas generally will just stick it out just a little bit, so don't be too concerned if you see that. But eyes, tongue flick, and just overall body structure. You want the skin to be firm and tight. You want the muscles to be firm and just kind of rigid. You'll see a sick snake will kind of look weak and deflated. It's the only way I can describe it. It's almost like a half deflated balloon. It starts to shrivel up and the skin doesn't look tight. The muscles don't look tight. It looks like it was maybe underfed for the purposes of keeping it small. So you want to make sure the muscles are good, the body tone is good, the eyes are clear, the tongue's flicking. That is really one of the key features of this, is you want to make sure you have a nice clear tongue flick. And I hope that this camera is showing this snake off, because he is beautiful. Let's go look at one more here. So this girl here is a hypo IMG Het T positive. Let's see if I can get it to zoom in on her, because she is beautiful. And I picked a girl because I tend to call them all females. So this time we have a female. Beautiful animal, solid tongue flicks, skin is tight, body structure is tight, underbelly is nice and clear, really solid looking animal. This is an animal I have no problem selling to basically anybody. Very well established, 7 months old, and this can really thrive. I don't know if this animal I'm going to sell or not. She's not up there on the website, so I don't know if I'm going to keep her. I might keep her. She's a really beautiful example of an IMG. At 7 months old, to be this black is just a phenomenal animal. And I don't have enough IMGs in my collection. I have a handful. I have some I'm keeping back from this litter, and this one I've been on the fence for. So with the IMGs, I like to, she's trying to bite me too, so she's a little cranky, but I like to keep them kind of a little bit longer to make sure I'm not selling something as an IMG that it isn't, and I'm not selling something that isn't an IMG or as non-IMG and it turns out to be an IMG. That would be a huge hit on my side and a nice win on yours, but I do like to keep those animals a little bit longer. But again, really, really pretty, beautiful example of an IMG. I think she's going to make a phenomenal adult. This is not a sales pitch because I'm probably going to keep her, but that's kind of where I'm going with this is, you know, when you're looking at these snakes, you just look at the whole body. You need to look at them holistically. And again, I can't emphasize more the seller. If you're buying from a solid seller with a good reputation, you're probably going to get a good animal, but usually it comes a tipping point where when they get too large, the quality starts to decrease. It's kind of like you have to balance your stuff out. You can only get so large until the quality of something needs to decrease, or you need to pull in employees to keep that high, or, you know, the employees start messing with the quality of your animals as well. Now, that's not to say avoid the small breeders, avoid the large breeders. It's key to look at those small breeders because that is supporting the industry. But look at that small breeder. What are they doing? Are they contributing? I made a video on this. What is that keeper doing to support the hobby, to support the industry? If they're non-existent, I refuse to buy from them. I need to buy from people who are continuing to grow our hobby, who are continuing to grow our industry. Those are the people I want to support. I don't want to support somebody that is just in it for the money, that's just in it to buy and sell an animal. You need to support the people that are going to support your future investment, especially if you're buying expensive animals as that investment. I don't want to support people who are crashing your prices. You buy from somebody who's crashing your prices, what's going to happen when you have that animal? Your prices are going to be crashed too. So that's some of the stuff I wanted to talk about. I do want to look at an adult animal before we close this video out because it will give you an understanding of what to look for in adults as well. So this is a beautiful adult male, hypo blood boa. He is a 2017, so he's about 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old at this point. And what to look for in adult, at least in boas, different species obviously going to sit differently, but a nice body structure. He's a little bit on the lean side, not super lean. He's actually perfect and primed. Best condition is actually about right here, but I do like them to be a little bit heavier going into breeding season. However, the males, this specific guy, I know when he gets a little heavy, he doesn't want to breed. He just likes to sit there. So I kept him lean on purpose. I don't know if I'm going to use him for breeding. He'll probably be a backup breeder this year. I have some different stuff I want to produce beyond just the bloods and hypo bloods, but he is a really nice example of a hypo blood. Just super red, really pretty. His face is nice, and camera never picks up the color of these guys, but really pretty head and just some nice oranges and burnt reds. Now, what to look for in the adult are very similar to what you looked for in babies. You know, again, firm body structure, nice muscle tone. The body and the age of the animal will tell you a lot about how they were kept from, you know, age 0 to wherever you're buying them. If you're buying an older animal and it's kind of limp and muscle, you know, this snake is moving, it can hold on. This snake wants to move. This is what a boa should do. If your boa is limp and just sitting there, that's kind of a red flag. There could be something wrong. If it was somebody's pet, maybe it's just used to being handled and manipulated and sitting in the same spot. But for the most part, your snake you want is to be active and moving, clear-eyed, a lot of tongue flicks. You know, look at the tongue flicks on this guy. Just really, really nice tongue flicks and active. Eyes are alert. The snake is alert in general, knows where I am, knows what's around him, and that's what you're looking for in an adult animal. Same thing as a baby, but you will see bad husbandry practices projected on an adult animal much easier than you'll see on a baby. A baby can kind of hide those bad husbandry practices for a long time, but an adult, as they grow, as the time continues, those husbandry practices and the bad husbandry practices specifically start to show on that animal. So that's the type of stuff you need to be aware of, and you'll know it. You know, trust your instinct. If the snake doesn't look right, it's probably something wrong with it. Don't go trying to save the world, especially if you have a larger collection of stuff. If you have multiple snakes and you feel bad for this snake that's, you know, obviously this snake's healthy, but you see one at a reptile show, at a pet store, whatever, it doesn't look right, obviously don't buy that. If you buy that and you think you're doing a good deed, you could be doing a good deed, but you could be killing every animal you have because that snake might have something in it. Now, again, within the first week of having it, you also want to observe the bowel movements and things like that. Is it clear? Is it runny? Is it looking like it should? If you don't have animals, it's hard to describe that. I bet if you Googled snake poop online, you'll see a picture of a nice snake poop. Usually Burmese pythons, because those Burmese python owners, they love to hold it in their bare hand. Something about the size of the poop versus the snake, I don't know what it is. Burmese python owners are weird. I'm a Burmese python owner too, so you can't get mad at me for that comment. I'm not as weird as some of you guys out there. That's some weird stuff. I'd never hold a giant poop with my bare hand. That's gross. But that's the type of stuff you're going to look for is, you know, clear poop, not a lot of stools. If you're seeing liquidy and frequent stools, that tells me there's something wrong, whether there's a virus, a disease, a parasite. It could be some type of an infection in its gut. Something wrong with the internal GI tract is happening. If there's frequent, you know, white mucousy stools, not to be confused with urates, but that says something's wrong with that animal, and you should try to avoid it. The smell can also be something different, not the smell of the snake. Snakes don't really have a smell to them unless they rolled in something, or roamed around in something, but the smell of their poop can be an indicator. Now that could also be what was fed to them, chicks versus guinea pigs versus mice versus rats, what those rats were eating. So that's something to look out for as well, but not to be too concerned until you've seen 3 or 4 of them. Just something to be aware of. And then lastly, the clear indicator for any snake would be visible parasites on the animal. Now, don't be concerned about wood mites, but reptile mites are certainly something you want to be concerned about. Wood mites, in my opinion, are actually healthy for the snake, healthy for the enclosures. In captivity, these wood mites are the cleanup crew. They go in, they eat all the little particulates that we can't get as keepers in between those larger bedding changes. So wood mites are clear, very small, different than a reptile mite. If you Google wood mite or reptile mite, you'll see the difference. Reptile mites are usually little black dots, and if you squish them between your fingers, they'll make a red mark, which is the blood of the animal on your fingers. That is without a doubt, a reptile mite. Wood mites don't do that. They're much smaller. They're almost like little microscopic things. We're going to do a whole video just on the different types of mites, specifically wood versus reptile mites. So with that said, guys, I hope this video was helpful. If you're looking for a baby and a snake, go check out my website, jasonsexoticreptiles.com. If you want advice and mentoring, or just to join our community chats, it's growing. It's been continuing to grow. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/jasonsexoticreptiles. If you want to support this channel in a way that doesn't cost you money, please click and like that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification, and every week when my videos come out, make sure you check them out. At least watch them for a couple minutes. See if it's something you're interested in. That really helps support this channel as well. The times that people see my thumbnail versus click it, that supports the algorithm. So if you see it, click it. Watch my ads, skip my ads, do what you want, but support the channel. I appreciate you guys. That's why I make these videos. So until next week, appreciate it. Talk soon, keep it moving.